expected.
Let me guess. 1 year out of the academy, 0 combat experience, little punk thinks the shit don't stink. Well, just to let you know,
The shit does stink.
stinks like shit.
If you'll just give me a shot.
Give this your shot.
Yeah, if you'll excuse me, it's time to round up a real team.
Welcome to the J2C show, and Curran Holman with you, with JC on the other side, and joining us in today we'll have Nick Creson. He's going to take place for JT, who apparently can't get his ass out of a bar from watching the New England Patriots game against Houston. Apparently that's more important to him, but he will not be...
see how they cheat today.
Yeah, we'll see. He will not be in with us. He'll be back next week. Well, maybe. It depends. Maybe another Patriot games will show up when we record. And so JT's he's a wild card. He's definitely a wild card. So with that being said, we're going to jump in. We're going to go over our top 5 sport movies. We haven't done this in a while, and we felt like it was a need to bring back with the sports season starting to get into commotion. And then we'll finish it up. We'll have our some mid results for our fantasy football league. And right now, I'm just going to say it. My team is getting bent over and a fist straight up the ass and 2 fingers fumbling around in there. That's about the equivalent of what my team is getting. It's
Only
not pretty.
2 fingers?
Yeah, only 2. Only 2, Nick. I keep it tight. So
You're losing by over 70.
I keep my points tight to 0. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our top 5 sport movies with Nick and JC. Before we get into our top 5, we do have, just want to ask if you guys, we'll start with Nick, since he is our guest for today. Nick, were there any movies that did not fall in your top 5, but were in contention to be on your list?
Not really.
Okay, so it was just straight 5 for you, and that was it. You knew, right there which ones were going to be on your top 5.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. JC, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are plenty of sports movies out there.
There's a shit ton. There is a shit ton of sports movies. I feel like every year there's a sports documentary or a new player that's getting going to the cinema. And then there's the classics, but it seems like we're getting more and more because it's that feel-good nature that everybody wants to go to the theater to see, unless you go watch it and you just want to see kids getting terrorized by a clown.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I mean...
Just watch Chucky.
Yeah, exactly.
God, that comes out in like 2 weeks, and it goes straight to Netflix, so I'm going to have to skip all my shows to make sure that thing doesn't pop up. Yeah.
Well, it's hard because, Curran, you don't like clowns?
I don't mind clowns. Well, I'm iffy on clowns, 50-50, but I do not do dolls whatsoever. And right now, what would happen is Nick, if we were in studio and Nick was here, he would put up a picture of Chucky on the screen and then ask me something, and I will turn around and it will be in big shot. And I'm okay with that because I'm grown to know whenever I'm in the studio with Nick, there's 100% chance that's going to happen, so I'm expected of it.
Just wait, I'll start doing Annabelle.
I'm okay with Annabelle. I see that shit enough. That doesn't freak me out because Annabelle's stationary. She just sits there in a fucking one of those little chairs. But yeah, I don't do dolls. I really don't. So I know. Oh, let's blow up Curran's phone. Everything's gonna be a Chucky picture. Woo!
I wanna say JT and I did that last time when we figured out that you did not like dolls. That we decided to send pictures or change icons or something to Chucky.
Oh, you know what? I don't do the movies, but I've grown to get used to seeing them in stores and shit. I was at Spencer's yesterday, and I was looking for my friend's bachelor party is in 2 weeks, so I was kind of in charge of getting shot glasses because we got a spin the shot game. So well that's gonna end out badly, as you can tell. It's not gonna. that's our pregame for mini golf down there at Willow Lake. We have a little we got a little cabin, so we'll see how long it takes before they kick us out or something for messing around with the courts.
Okay, so Curran, hang on one second. I have one question to ask.
Yeah.
Did you go to Spencer's to buy a different kind of doll for the bachelor party?
No, I bought a Chucky one too. It was the same action. Yeah, this one had his mouth open. But no, I went there.
So, top 5 sports movies.
No, I'm gonna finish it. Damn it, you got me started. I'm gonna finish it. No, what happened is I was buying shot glasses. So, and Spencer's is like the only place where you can actually find some funny shot glasses. And I was like, okay, well, I need to pick one that matches the characteristic, or what I thought the characteristic of each person at the bachelor party. So there's a total of 5 of us there. So there's me, there's the groom, and then there's 3 others. So, all of them actually related to, like, let's party, bitches, or something like that. That's about really more like bachelorette parties is what they would carry. So I just went with that. Like, one was like silver with a neon pink that says, "This is what a drunk girl, white girl looks like," or something like that. So that one goes to another person. One actually was because the guy's name is Jim, and it had the sign from Jimbo's Guns from South Park in camo. So he got that one. Mine, oh my god, mine's so bad. And this is because I have asthma. And so the one I got, and I feel like it's kind of out of place at this kind of party, but it would be good at like a normal party where there's girls. And so on it, what it says is, it says, I name my penis Asthma because I leave the bitches breathless. That was my shot glass. And I was like, I can't pass up on that. That was money. So, of course, what happened, I showed a lot of my friends that are girls. That's the shot glass I picked up for the bachelor party. And, of course, they loved it. But anyways, so, yeah, it was an interesting day. But I looked up and I was picking up, and there's a doll of Chucky right above my head. I grew to expect it. I turned around. There's a cup with Chucky's face on it. So I was like, Spencer's, they always do this to me. Every time I walk in there and there's going to be something referencing, it's like, fuck it. It's going to happen. So that's my little spill of that today, my little rant. Again, I hate dolls. That's about all I can really emphasize on the point as I'm looking. Oh, nothing from Nick about that. I'm surprised.
Well, I mean, we can make it.
Yeah, it can happen. It will most likely happen. Nick does that at random times, especially during Halloween or my birthday.
Sure.
Wait, does what?
You'll get I remember when you used to send me messages of the, like, random times of the day, you would send me messages and I would check it. And now I'm really hesitant on when Nick sends me a photo. If it's a text, I'm okay. But if it says Nick sent you a photo, about 99% of it is a picture of Chucky. It just happens. So and now I'm about 100% sure it's going to happen today. Talking about it.
Couldn't get it to work, but I just sent a photo. Tried to send a photo over Facebook that wasn't Chucky, but was another scary doll.
Probably a fucking Annabelle or the doll from Dead Silence. I know the doll movies because I know how to avoid them. So I know all the doll movies that are out there because I make sure I don't see them. It's pretty, they're actually making a Chucky video game while we're on it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fuck that. I mean, I'd play the Friday the 13th game, but I don't know. That game looks fucking weird. Like, I watched like a 20-minute gameplay session of somebody doing that game. Jesus Christ. Like, it just freaks you out because it makes it so weird that they made it so Jason can, like, teleport. So if he knows where you're at, he can teleport right there. So it's supposed to be like that movie Effect where he's always watching you and he always knows where you're at. So you could be
when you're sleeping.
Yeah, you could be 5 miles away and then in like a second he's right next to you chopping you up. It's really interesting about it. But anyways, that's enough for that. Halloween is near. We'll probably talk more about it when Halloween comes here. We have our top 5 sport movies, and so far I did have a couple that did not make my top 5 that I thought were on the bubble. I went with Coach Carter was one. The Pistol, the original movie, I think it was made in the 1970s, about Pete Maravich, when I watched when I was a kid all the time. Still watch it today. They had it on Netflix for a little bit, but then they took it off. Not the greatest quality, but a good movie. Cinderella Man, boxing movie with Russell Crowe. One that always, for some reason, that always brings a tear to my eye. I'm a sensitive guy, not guys. I'm a sensitive guy, so that movie always tears me up somehow. I don't know when, randomly. 61. One about Roger Maris and the 61 home run season, directed by Billy Crystal on HBO. It also had it had Pepper. I can't remember. Barry Pepper was Roger Maris, and Thomas Jane was Mickey Mantle, one of my favorite. It was probably the first movie that when I was a kid, I didn't know it cussed so much because every other word was fuck and titties or some shit like that with Mickey Mantle. So I was exposed to that at an early age, and that's probably why I like to cuss so much. And then number 6, Basketball. One of my favorite movies from the directors and from the guys who do South Park. Basketball. It's always a good watch. It's a fucked up movie. I don't think there's any movie they've done that's been serious, but it's something that I enjoy watching, and I like watching those wacky old comedies. And with Basketball, it's a basketball-baseball mix with Cooper, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but it's one that you've got to check out. So that's my On the Bubble. Nick, we'll start with your top 5 since you are our guest, and you can take it from there.
Okay, well, number 5, I've got to go Remember the Titans.
Okay, good movie.
Yeah. 4, got to go We Are Marshall.
Oh, so he's all about football. He's all about football right now.
So far, yeah.
There's only like one more football movie on my top 5.
Any given Sunday.
Nope.
Okay. Number 3.
But number 3, Karate Kid.
Ooh.
Okay.
Number 4, Blind Spot.
Wait, number 4? You're going backwards? How many movies do you have?
2.
Oh, how many movies do you fucking have over there?
5.
Okay.
I don't have numbers on them. I just got them in order. So.
Oh, okay.
And then number 1, a masterpiece, Dodgeball.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, that's a solid list.
I didn't even think about dodgeball. And
I did. I when I was thinking about sport movies, other than basketball, I was thinking what were movies that I would watch all the time. That when I put it in, I would sit down and I just could not move, like it just took over. So that's what I was kind of going with. But that's a solid list, Nick. That's a good list.
Or also the movies you can just jump in at any point and just love it.
I was huge. Actually, no, I'll save that when I go over my top 5. JC, we'll move on over to you if you're top 5.
Yeah. So my list is basically all comedy sports movies because that's just kind of what my mind went to. Got my number 5, and someone may argue it, but the Big Lebowski is going to be my number 5.
I consider that sport. I consider that sport bowling and pissing. Pissing can be a competition.
Hey, if you got brothers, everyone's.
And when you're going against Jesus, shit goes down.
Yeah.
One way or another. Have you heard of the Big Lebowski challenge?
I want to say I have, but I can't remember the parameters of it.
Okay, it's a drinking game. And actually Shane taught me this one, Nick, when we were coming back from a football game. He told me the Big Lebowski challenge. And what you do is when you watch the movie, every time that the Big Lebowski, he makes a White Russian, you have to make one and pound it with him. So he makes I think damn near 8 or 10 White Russians. So throughout the whole movie, every time he makes a White Russian, you have to do it, and you have to drink it before he makes another one, and it keeps going until the end of the movie.
You're gonna get really drunk with your White Russians, Curran?
Oh, I make them strong. I make them very strong. Nick,
it's
It's a lot.
75% vodka.
It's a lot of vodka. I needed to use up vodka, and so, we're gonna make it last. Well, make not our soberness last, but make the vodka last a little bit. So yeah, so number 5 for JC, Big Lebowski, great movie, one of the funniest movies.
Yeah. Number 4 is Caddyshack.
Oh yeah, classic.
Good kind of little sports movie. Number 3 is The Longest Yard, and the new Longest Yard. I was kind of thinking maybe the old one, maybe the new one. But I ultimately went with the new one because it had some pretty good comedy points to it.
To be honest, I still have not sitting through the whole thing of the original Longest Yard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one of those movies. Well, the only problem is when I see those movies, it's on TV, so it edits out all of the content that you're missing. So I need to, if I'm going to do it, either I'm going to go Blu-ray or DVD or anything so I can see what content missed. Because it's one of those R-rated comedies where there's a lot of script that you're missing that's edited out when you watch it on TV, which just makes it dog shit.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not bad. Like I said, the new one I felt was just more comedic, I guess, and then it fit my list better, I would say.
Well, you have Chris Rock and Adam Sandler as your two leads. I feel like it's not going to be too serious of a movie.
No, God, no. Although it's definitely a oh God, I can't remember his name.
Cromwell?
No, the older guy that comes in. I can't remember.
Oh, well, you have
I'm gonna have to look it
Burt
up.
Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds,
and he was
that's definitely will throw you off guard if you just
well, I mean, it's a continuation because he was the main in the original one. It seemed right to bring it back into the same, not in the same role, but bring him as one of the main characters in the new one. It just felt right.
Yeah. So, no, a good movie for sure. Number 2, we're going back to golf. And that movie was Happy Gilmore.
Okay, I was like,
I forgot about that one.
I was gonna be like, if you went to Caddyshack 2 in front of Caddyshack, I would slap you so hard.
No, God, no.
If anybody who's listened and watched Caddyshack 2 and you like that movie, then I just feel sorry for you. I really, really do. Because the Caddyshack 2 is like someone took the original script or the original movie of Caddyshack and took a shit on it. And in some case, that's what sequels do for the most part. They try to continue on with whatever worked on with the first one, like The Hangover. Hangover 2 used that same structure and made that series hard to follow because it was the same damn thing over. But Caddyshack 2 was like, it was just worse, and then it dragged it to a whole nother level of being worse. Just my thoughts.
So, and then coming in at number 1, possibly something that other people would argue as a sport. My number 1 movie is Talladega Nights.
Okay, NASCAR.
Yeah, and being a big fan of NASCAR, it had to be number 1. So, and I was trying to think of another comedy NASCAR movie, and I couldn't really think of one, so that definitely took my number 1 spot.
I mean, the other NASCAR movie that comes to mind is Days of Thunder.
Yeah.
But I consider that more of a drama, and that Tom Cruise, that Tom Cruise heyday where he was like used in most movies in the 80s, because that was by the time that Top Gun and Cocktail, all his popularity was there in that late 80s, early 90s kind of phase. I think Days of Thunder maybe was like 95 or something like that, mid 90s, so maybe a little bit after those, but a Tom Cruise classic, I guess you would say. For sure. The mellow yellow car. I tried that move. We were at the go-karts up in Kent, Washington. The really nice like the actual like raceway go-karts. And I tried that move on my little brother because he was right behind me and we were neck to neck, and then he just passed me, so I was like, okay, well, he goes below, then I'll just go high, right? I'll take the high road and be like Days of Thunder and pass him on the high ground. No. he knew exactly what I was doing, and I went into a wall, disconnected the wall, turned around, and got back on the track, and I got a black flag. So it didn't work. The Tom Cruise failed me that day. All of Alientology failed me that day.
Yeah.
So without further ado, my top 5 list. Nick, I was the same with you on number 5. I went Remember the Titans. That was a movie that I would watch constantly when I was a kid, especially during football season. Every Friday night, I would listen to the Pendleton Buckaroos football on radio. While I was listening to them, I would be playing college football on the PS2 and move on to the Xbox 360. And then after that was all done, I would put in Remember the Titans because I love that movie for its football action and the strong characters in there. Gary Bertier, the characters, Gary Bertier, Julius Campbell, and then you had Denzel Washington as Coach Boone, Coach Yotes. I mean, there's a good cast that I think it was a really nostalgic high school football movie at the time, and it was huge. Number 4, I went with Warrior. Warrior is an ultimate fighting movie. It stars Joel Edgerton, and it also stars Tom Hardy. And there are 2 brothers that meet in this tournament. It was a really well done movie. It was like one of the first ultimate fighting style movies. So we didn't have, it just came out, and it really, I wouldn't say it boosted the career of Tom Hardy, because Tom Hardy, Inception was that for Tom Hardy. But for Joel Edgerton, who was a stuntman for a lot of movies, that was his first movie actually being a role and being a lead character. And I think it was a well done movie, a lot of good action. It just had a lot of good features in a sports movie. 2 sides, they were fought behind, they were the underdogs out of nowhere. It came out, most sport movies, that's how it is. The team you're following is the underdog, and then somehow they find a way to win. Just happens. But it was a well done movie, and Tom Hardy's character was just a straight badass. They had some really good fight scenes, and it's a movie. Another thing about sport movies, it's movies that I would want to work out to. That's how I also picture it. Something that will keep me motivated to lift weights while I'm doing that. I'm going to watch a movie. These are the movies I would watch. Number 3, I went the comedy route too. I went Caddyshack as well, not Caddyshack 2, as you heard. That would never make a list. Well, maybe top 5 worst sport movies. But, which maybe that should have happened. That would have been more interesting. But
It could have, yeah.
But Caddyshack, great characters, strong characters, and in a strong script from Harold Ramis, who did a great job. And he was such a good director of movies. He was a good actor as well, but his writing in those movies and the comedy aspect he would bring to it, he's a comedic guru. Like he can make anything funny. Even if you looked at him, his facial was pretty funny. The big long nose, the typical Jewish long nose, glasses, curly hair. Harold Ramis, is an instant what you would think of. But he's such a good comedic actor, comedic writer, and he really took that script. And Caddyshack had a number of big name actors. You had Bill Murray, you had I can't.
Roger Dangerfield.
Yes, Rodney Dangerfield was another big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Rodney Dangerfield, one of the great comedics. The guy from all the vacation movies. I can't believe I'm fuzzing out on his name.
Chevy Chase?
Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase was in there. And other ones are not quite as big as name, but still put a big performance in there from Caddyshack. Number 2, and I'm surprised nobody had this on their list, but I went, and to be specific, I singled out the movie in this series. I went Rocky 3.
See, I had the original Rocky as my didn't make it to the list.
Mm-hmm.
So I was close.
Yes, Rocky, one of the biggest sport series as it continues on with all the Creed, and then you have the sequel. Probably, I think there's going to be a trilogy of Creed movies. It would make sense. I didn't want to go Rocky because I felt like it was one that for me, I wasn't. I mean, Rocky's a great movie, but it wasn't. I didn't feel like it was the best one out of the series. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, dude, Rocky 1 was fucking amazing. And it is. But Rocky 3, I felt like, was probably the best movie out of that series. The original, let's say the original 5. From Rocky 1 to 5. I think Rocky 3 was the best one because there was a lot of things going on in that one. And there's a lot of big time moments in the series. Because first of all, you had Mickey dying. So that was a big shot to Rocky. Mm-hmm. And then you bring in the solution with Apollo Creed. Okay, so you see that rivalry turn into a friendship. And then you see that big turn, which led on to more movies. And then you have Clubber Lang. Clubber Lang beats Rocky. Okay, now you bring into that aspect, he was on top. Rocky was on top. Now he's on the bottom. He lost it all. Clubber Lang comes in, whips his ass, and then now you have to see the rebuild. So there's like 2 parts of the movie within that movie. You have the downfall, and then you have the uprise. So I just felt like it was a well done, put together movie that had a lot of the big moments that you would remember in the Rocky series in that film. And you also you had Hulk Hogan as Thunderlips when people always, that first half of the movie you're listening to that, you're like, oh my God, yeah. That's another great fight, underrated fights in that series because it's just a lot, it's a fun fight to watch. A lot of comedy thrown into it. And then you had the main fight at the end. It was a great put together fight. It just felt like it captured everything Rocky was about, other than probably the first one, all in that movie. And you seen the outbreak performance of Adrian. That was the first movie that she really, she became a force in that series. Because the first one, she was shy. She was kind of quiet. Didn't really say anything, kind of shy, scared of her brother, kind of treated Miss badly and everything. And then the second one, okay, she starts it and then she goes into a coma half the movie. And she was this kind of, she was still the same person. She was just a little bit more lively, but not as strong as a character. But then the third one, she just broke out of her shell. And so I think it was her big first performance was in Rocky 3. So all those aspects thrown into one movie made it take it over the top. Rocky 1 was a great movie, but it was about Rocky, and he was the strong performance. Paulie was still getting there. He was a good performer. And then you get introduced to Apollo Creed. So it was like a setup. So that's what it was. I mean, that's just how I felt. I think it was a great movie, but it was more of a setup, and you get the story. Rocky 3 had everything all thrown into it. And I think it took it over top. Rocky 4 is a good movie. It's one of... They kind of downplay it. I thought it has one of the best montages. I think it does for that. But it didn't quite grasp. It's like they forced it, kind of. Rocky 5 was forced as well. And the only thing memorable about Rocky 5 was the street fight at the end of the movie. Probably one of the best fights, because you get to see Dukes get his ass knocked out on a car, and you've been waiting for that the whole movie. But yeah, Rocky 3 I think was the best. And then Creed is a good movie, but I think it's honestly like the exact same scripture and setup as the original Rocky, so you can't really tell those apart.
Yeah, it definitely felt like they were trying to trying to make like another Rocky movie just involving
different characters. Yeah, it was like Rocky 1, but with Apollo Creed's son. That's honestly what Creed was. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see what they do with the second one. I think it's going to be good. There was talks that it's going to be Ivan Drago's son, and then he's going to be trained by Ivan Drago. So we'll see Dolph Lundgren back in it. And then they're going to have a flashback scene or have like they'll have Carl Weathers as a ghost or something like that, some kind of thing. So he might be in it. I mean, there's still a lot of things going on with that movie. They haven't solidified anything yet, and then possibly Rocky could die from his sickness or whatever. There's a lot of things they could do to it. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, number 2, Rocky 3. And then number 1, I'm a huge basketball guy, and I felt like if this wasn't my number 1, then it was a slap in my face, and I went Hoosiers. It's a classic. The classic, one of the original underdog stories. Dodgeball technically says the underdog story in its name, or a true underdog. But this is truly the original underdog movie, and where you have a bumfuck nowhere town in Hickory, Indiana, defeat and win the state championship in Indianapolis over an all-black team. So, I mean, you had Jimmy Chitwood, one of the greatest ball players in Indiana during that movie. And it's a true movie. Or a true story. But it really just had that whole aspect. The small town, you bring in a new coach, great performance by Gene Hackman. Truly one. I mean, Gene Hackman was a great actor before that, but I think that was probably one of his biggest performances, other than being Lex Luthor in the original Superman. I think that was one of his big ones. And so he was a strong character. Barbara Hershey Barbara Hershey, the female lead, she was strong in it as well. And then you had, I can't believe I'm forgetting this guy's name, the drunk dad. He was also a big player in this. He was in Speed movies. I can't remember his name, and it's driving me insane. I'm gonna have to look it up right now. But he, it's right there. It's right there on the tip of my tongue. Come on, it's pissing me off. It's pissing me off so bad. Barbara Hershey, and where's this drunk dad? Tell me the cast. Come on, internet, don't fuck with me now. Anyways, God. Dennis Hopper, as Shooter, and he does the picket fence. You know, if you're not familiar with the picket fence, it's one of the most iconic plays that's always referenced in a lot of basketball, even in basketball lingo. It's just a screen. It's a screen where they fake with the wrong shooter and they give it to somebody else, and so everybody's focusing on one player and they switch it to another. And so the saying is that they'll set the picket fence, but you don't want to get caught watching the paint dry. That's it. So that's one of the most iconic plays in that movie, and one of the most referenced, probably one of the most referenced things in sports, especially basketball. I used to always say that when I played basketball. It never worked. We'd always get blocked or we missed a shot, but at least we tried. But Hoosiers, my number 1 sports movie. I still watch it all the time. When I'm sick, that's always one of the first movies I go to. It just so good. So well made. Great storyline to it. And you can just see how everybody was in the dumps until they wanted one player to get back in. But that player would finally get in because they voted to kick him out because they didn't like the way he coached. He thought it wasn't their style of basketball. He was bringing a new style. It just was not right for the town. But then, well, that spoke out more to the player. That's the whole story. You got to watch it. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's just one of those classics. So that's my top 5. Hoosiers, Rocky 3, Caddyshack, Warrior, and Remember the Titans. There's so many to choose from. I sent you guys my list of my research. And there's probably close to 30, 40 movies. One movie that I was really debating on was Rush, the Formula One movie. That was really well made, and I really enjoyed that one. Chris Hemsworth, and I can't remember the guy who plays Niki Lauda, but those two guys just really took those characters and brought them to life. And a really well done movie. by the great, Opie Griffin. Forgetting his name. Ron Howard. But so those are my top 5. And JT, his top 5 would probably be New England Patriots 1 through 5 and Oakland Raiders 6 through 10. So those would be his as he's at the game. Now, while we're talking about football here, let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and go into our look at our fantasy league, because now...
First, have you guys seen the Texans-Patriots score right now?
I've got one. I hope is it still 28-30?
Yep, Texans are winning. That's probably why JT's at the bar.
Yeah, if they lose... Well, Texans are a good defensive team, and the only bad thing about this is... Well, actually, it's not really a bad thing. DeAndre Hopkins is playing like shit. He only has 55 yards, and he's on my bench. But you know what's going to happen is there's going to be something at the end where they throw a late touchdown pass to him, and he'll have like 20 points. I'm like, fuck.
Mm-hmm. Can I bring up real quick that Baltimore just lost to Jacksonville 7-44?
They did not lose. They got straight railed. Like it was what, 30-something to 0. I was looking at the score this morning. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? How
44-7.
I know, but it was like they were trailing by like 28-0 a half or something like that. Baltimore.
23.
What the hell has happened? I mean, and they were a 2-0 team. Now I was helping a friend make picks, and I believe all my picks are probably they all got fucked. Like all the teams that did shitty the first 2 weeks played really well this week. And then all the ones that won before completely just played like crap this week. So I mean, so inconsistent.
Luckily, I have Brandon Watson with Baltimore, and he's the only one that got him a tight end or a touchdown for him. So
yes, I had the running back Terrence West, or not Terrence West, but the running back for Baltimore. I can't believe I forgot his name, but. He's on my other team. He's not on this one, so it's not important for this. But yeah, my team, I'm losing by 74 right now. Almost a cool 73. Yeah. I'm picking up points, and right now my kicker is dominating with 10. Bahauska's got 15. So my leading kicker, and it's not looking good for this week. I mean, unless Montgomery, Nelson, and Bryant go big, and Rivers have... Like, I have playmakers still. See, the only thing that I have for me is that after these games, I still have players that need to play, and his whole lineup is done except for Seahawks defense, who started 1. So that's the only thing. So what I need today to be relevant in this matchup is to have those 5 players, Tyreek Hill, Des Bryant, Jordy Nelson, Ty Montgomery, and Phillip Rivers, that have solid games, all need to be over 10 or 15 points. And then Seahawks, as much as Nick doesn't want me to say this, I need Seahawks to give up a lot of points to the Titans. That's what I need. So
you might get that with having to play like 40 minutes of the game. The Seahawks defense probably won't do as well as most would think.
Yes. If their offense is not looking well like it hasn't in the last 2. And the only positive note about Seattle's offense is Chris Carson right now. I have him benched for this week because I didn't like the matchup with Tennessee, but he's been solid, and if they give him more chances, then I think he can be a big player. And if they fix this offensive line issue or make it solid where they can start giving him holes, because right now he is running over people, but that's going to wear and tear because it's only week 3. So after a week or 2 more of doing that, it's going to start affecting his body. Now, he's a rookie, so he's young. He's not like Marshawn Lynch where these hits would kind of drag him down. He can bounce up still right now. But if he has to do it all season long, then that could be an issue. So that's really, I mean, looking at it, man, yeah, it's not looking good. I mean, Ebron's got me, 9 yards? James White, what the hell has been going on with him? He was a money in the playoffs, but they're not throwing to him out of the backfield. Apparently that's not working because he only has 2 points for me. And my kicker is leading the way with 10. And it's not looking good. As I looking through here, I don't want that matchup. Oh, my other one. Right now I'm killing it in my other league. I've got about 190. But I still have Green Bay players to play. So that's a big thing. I have all Atlanta offense, so Atlanta's offense is good for me. But, man, he keeps on... Speaking about it, right now I'm playing Mark, the one guy without CTE. Great name. I gave him so much credit when he came up with this name. I think he was like the 4th or 5th person to join our league. And when he did that name, I instantly messaged him and gave him the thumbs up. That was awesome. But right now he's just kicking my ass. Hauschka's put up 18 for him right now. Kickers can be dangerous. For all you thinks, I'll get a kicker in the 7th round, fuck that. If you can get a good kicker in round 4 or 5 and consistently put up 10 to 15 points a week because they play for a shitty offense and they're going to get a lot of kicks, then you take him that early. There are a few kickers that are worth it. And right now, Hauschka is just ridiculously... Two PATs... 2 field goals over 50, and then 2 field goals, one over from 20 to 29, and one through 40 and 49. So you get the 3 points plus the points for how many yards. So those all add up. So he's got 10 points a low from the 50. Or I think it's 1 point. I think it's like 1 point for the make, and then how many points for the yardage. But it's just racking up, and it's bullshit. It's a lot of bullshit for my team. As we go into, I'm looking at the game center for everybody. Man, I want to see everybody's matchup, not just mine. League. Here we go. As we'll update you right now, results on our league scoreboard. So I'm down 90 to 13. Old Man Wins Again is beating my little brother Henry Motor City White Buffaloes 52 to 37. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My brother Charlie, my older brother Charlie, is losing to JT, who's got 74. Charlie's got 56. Legion of 12s beating the Sacco 79 to 55. Rolling Blunts beating Car Ramrod 90 to 61.
Yeah, it's not going too well.
Fuck You is beating Mouse Rat 45 to 18, and Milk Moose is beating Mississippi Motherfuckers 74 to 39.
Yeah, I thought mine was going bad, then I saw yours.
Oh no, mine's like I said, I described it earlier. It's a fist up the old anal with 2 fingers making its movements around, spreading it out.
Yeah, basically you are the Ravens, and the one guy with CTE is the Jaguars.
I'm the Ravens, and I'm playing against the Jaguars and the Patriots at the same time. It's about the equivalent. We'll look in at Knicks. We'll look at their matchup and see what's going on. So far, he has Tyrod Taylor, Devontae Freeman, both with 18, 19 points. Carlos Hyde's got 21. Nick, you've got Le'Veon Bell with 15 and Wentz with 11. On your bench, you probably made a good move. I don't know why you still have 3 quarterbacks. Garoppolo's not going to play any.
Garoppolo is an investment in case the Madden curse actually works out and Brady's out for the season.
Okay. Well, I guess there's some time for that, but it's not looking so good.
Yeah, he's drawn about week 5 or 6 if Brady's still healthy.
And then, other than that, I mean, Carlos Hyde's got 21. He's got 3 players that are really killing it right now, and he still has Delaney Walker and Devontae Adams to play with the Chiefs defense, so hopefully I'll help you out with my Phillip Rivers torching up that defense, which is a lot harder done than said. Now, we're looking at the matchup for Carl Ramrod, as this one's a little bit closer, but right now, the big ones he's playing against is Tom Brady's got 26, T.Y. Hilton's got 21, and LeGarrette Blount's got 12, and Pierre Garçon has 14. Terrence West was the guy that I have for Baltimore. He's in my other league, but he only had 0.6, and I think he was injured for most of it. Sitting on her bench is Ginn with 12. On your bench, you've got Frank Gore, who's got just under 12.
Yeah.
And again, your kicker is leading the way. Welcome to the club with 12 points.
I've got Drew Brees.
You've got Drew Brees, but he's doing okay. Okay, 20. Patriots defense 4. Fitzgerald hasn't played. Watson's got 7. Andrew Thielen's got 9.8, same as Demaryius Thomas. So you're solid there. Richard's playing. He doesn't play till tonight. We'll see how he is. Shane Vereen, he's in the same boat as James White. They're just not doing anything for that running backs. Well, never mind. He plays for New York. He used to play for New England, but he's about the same ways with New England.
Yeah.
The big one, well, I guess Roland Blunt's, and other than that, in my matchup, are the two biggest scorers. The one that's the upsetting one so far is Legion of 12s against the Sacco, as the Sacco is usually a pretty solid team. They've got Matt Ryan, who's doing okay. He's got 3 interceptions, but they're winning by 4 in the fourth quarter with under 3 minutes left against Detroit. And they just got the ball back, so hopefully they'll either run it or get me some scores on from my other league. But Gillislee's got 3. He's about 18. He usually gets a couple touchdowns, so he hasn't done that. He's got Gronk. McManus, another double-digit kicker. Steelers defense 7. And Pittsburgh offense not really doing anything. Dalvin Cook is the leader for the 12s, and Legion of 12s finally having a big week. And it seems like all his players are just going off, except for he's got Cardinals defense, Chris Johnson, Jason Witten left to play. He had a big game of Goff. He had a big game of Cook. Decent game of Howard. And then everybody else, nothing so much. So as we look through our rankings, as of now, I did the fantasy football update earlier in the week, and that one kind of went through, but we'll go ahead and go run through our rankings right now. Right now in 1, but most likely will change, is the Sacco, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Legion of 12s all sit with 2-0 records. But as it's going, anything of fantasy football, it can change in a heartbeat, so we're not going to count them out yet. But it looks like we have 3 undefeated teams, but 2 of them are playing, so one's going to be undefeated and one's not. We've got, looks like, about 7 players that are tied with a 1-1 record. But after this week, that's definitely going to change. And as much as I don't want to say it, welcome to Pound City, or Pone City. I keep on messing that. Welcome to Pone City is probably going to drop to 1 and 2. I mean, we've got to cover a lot of ground in tonight's games to get back into this one.
I would take 1 and 2, then the inevitable 0 and 3 that I'm headed for.
Well, the problem is injuries happens to our best players. Our players that, fantasy football, it's okay, we hope you're consistent enough to be our starter, but then we put him out, he has a big game. The guy we sub him in for gets hurt in the first quarter, sits out the rest of the game. So shit like that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And when
you think Newton and Bell are going to do good, but they're both, Bell's starting to do better, but he did suck in week 1.
Bell is Bell. He'll get good. He's going to do good for you. But it's hard thing. The hard thing of our league is it's 14 teams. So there's not a lot of depth in players you can get. There just isn't. So that definitely plays a factor, and you've got to have these guys that you got to be getting solid. And we don't do PPR. I might think about changing it in about a week or 2. That might help
And what's PPR?
Point per reception. So what would happen is if you get guys that are like high volume guys where they don't get many yards but they get receptions, then you get a point per reception. So you add the yards and then you add. So if he had like 9 receptions, he'll get 9 points plus the yardage and then touchdowns or whatever happened after it. So it's 1 point for each 10 yards. So let's say he has 9 receptions, 20 yards, he'll have 11 points. So that helps. And so that might be something I'll look into. And I might do that just so that kind of balances out with our lack of depth. And because everything ours is based on yardages and touchdowns. And when you have these players that aren't as explosive in these games like some of the other teams do, this might be a balance, and it might also jack up the other guys. You never know. So also that's something I'm going to keep in mind here as we play through this week. That might be a change to come because I like PPR. PPR's, and a lot of people do PPR now. That's kind of the big thing, and I didn't set it and think about it when I was setting it up, but that might be something I change here in just a little bit. So we'll look at that. But I mean that about wraps it up here for our J2C show. We had our top 5 sport movies, and then we also had our fantasy football update. As of yet, I'll be back with an update throughout the week with our fantasy football once we get it week 3 out of the way, probably either Tuesday or Wednesday morning. So we'll have an update on that as well. So Nick, I want to thank you for joining us here. Hope we'll probably see you again very soon, especially when we get JT here, because we know JT would you and JT have a lot of nice things to say to each other, as usual. If you don't remember when we did a couple basketball games together, we did a couple radio shows together, and it pretty much from the get-go it went downhill really south. We were on live radio, so we couldn't say a lot of the things we wanted to say. Unlike this podcast, we can go ahead and get away with that. But
let's say fuck JT.
Well, maybe we'll just have to have you come on next week for that one. We'll get that. Well,
if he's not still crying about the Texans game.
Are they still winning?
33-28.
Ooh, okay, they got a field goal. They're moving on up. I still don't count out Tom Brady until the 000. Yeah. Don't count out Brady. So that's going to do it.
Patriots do have the ball right now.
Yeah. Well, things are inevitable. That's going to do it for Curran Holdman here and Nick joining us in, and JT out in the bar getting plastered watching the Patriots probably lose or win. We'll never know. Well, hopefully lose. I mean, if Oakland lost tonight, man, that would be a heartbreaker of a Sunday. And if the Patriots went 1-2 in the first 3 weeks, yikes. So we'll see.
If the Raiders do lose tonight, JT might need his stomach pumped.
Well, you never know. You never know on those. But again, that's going to do it for us for tonight. We'll see you guys next week. This has been the J2C Show.